Yo, 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 what's going on, party people? TonyFlygon here, bringing you another Pokemon Black 2 White 2 battle. This is gonna be a Black 2 White 2 Uber battle against Keksmuffin. Yeah, it was on PO. It was on a Pokemon Online Wi-Fi Ubers tournament. They randomly host tournaments every once in a while on the PO server, and it happened to be an Ubers one. I decided, hey, what the hell, might as well join. And I think this was the quarterfinals match I had against Keksmuffin. Looking at the teams, I'll give you a rundown of my team. It's one of my newer teams. It's a Choice Specs Palkia, a Thunderwave plus a Lumberry Kyogre, a specially defensive Ferrothorn, a mixed Zekrom, a defensive Gliscor, and a Shell Smash Omastar. My opponent seems to have a very bread and butter Sun team for Black and White 2 standards. Latias is, of course, a new thing because Soldu recently got released, but all the others should be familiar faces on Sun teams. The good old Groudon Ho-Oh Fortress Core, which has been going on since DPP and is, of course, still very viable. Reshiram in Sun hits extremely hard and is just a very big threat overall. And Arceus, I'm not sure what kind of type it is. I'm assuming Extreme Killer looking at the team preview. Definitely a dangerous Pokemon, but I do have a Gliscor, I do have a Ferrothorn, and believe it or not, Omastar is actually a good check as well in Rain, being able to outspeed, hit very hard with Hydro Pump, and having base 125 defense, as well as a resistance to extreme speed. So it's a good backup check, as I like to call them. So looking at lead options, I'm thinking he's either going to lead with Groudon or is going to lead with his Fortress. Therefore, I'm going to lead with my Gliscor being able to taunt Groudon and being able to taunt Fortress before setting up any hazards. And if Groudon decides to go for an offensive move or set up a Swords Dance or a Rock Polish, I can taunt as well and take those hits if I want to. Gliscor is just a very good option as a lead for this situation. I hope you are all going to enjoy the battle. So without further ado, let's get right into the battle. He indeed leads up with Groudon, that's good information, and that's definitely a good matchup for my Gliscor as I go straight for taunt as he Stealth Rocks. That is fine, that tells me it is a support Groudon instead of a dual dancing or Swords Dance or Rock Polish variant. That's always good because those are quite scary. So I go for Toxic just to get some residual damage on this Groudon, and that just will help me wear it down, win the Weather War as soon as possible. Seeing as I am running a Rain team, that's definitely beneficial for me. He switches to his Fortress as I go for a substitute on his switch, knowing he will not stay in. There's really no reason for him to stay in at this rate. So therefore I can safely go for Taunt on the Fortress as he tries to set up Toxic Spikes. He then switches to his Groudon, who for some reason appears to not be poisoned anymore, as you can see in the replay. However, you can see it's also still receiving poison damage, so it's just not showing the toxic sign like it does with my Gliscor. Anyway, you can see it's still poisoned. I taunted just in case he figured I wouldn't taunt and try to set up Stealth Rock. Might as well prevent it, seeing as I wall it anyway. Therefore, I'm just gonna go and slam it with some more Earthquakes, seeing as Groudon is not even breaking my sub with a Sun boosted Fire Punch. As he brings in Arceus, Arceus again, just a target for me to poison, so that's exactly what I proceed to do, as I'm just gonna go and try to stall out this Arceus with combination of Toxic, Earthquake, and Substitute. And this Gliscor is becoming a huge obstacle for his team, and that, ladies and gentlemen, is why Gliscor is very underrated. It's super good in the Ubers metagame, as well as OU of course, but it's often overlooked in Ubers. But as you can see, against one of the most standard Sun cores, it does so much work, and it's such a good Pokemon. After a while, the Arceus gives up, the toxic damage is accumulating, and he's not going to be able to dent me too much. Brings in Latias, again a target for me to poison. Look at the damage my Gliscor is doing to his team so far. That's really ridiculous. He broke my substitute with a Dragon Pulse, therefore I'm going to switch to my Ferrothorn, who can easily take one of these. But seeing as this Latias is run on a Sun team, I'm kinda expecting the Hidden Power Fire, and I do not have Protect on my Ferrothorn to scout for it. Therefore I'm going to switch to my Kyogre, easily able to take one Hidden Power Fire, as well as being able to get up the Rain again. He switched to his Reshiram on the same turn. I'm not really threatened, seeing as I do have the Rain up. Reshiram is a lot less threatening back then. Well, that way I should say. He switched to Latias, that makes sense. That's a very good Kyogre switch in. It's actually the best. However, seeing as it is poisoned, I don't feel like I have to predict with Ice Beam, and I feel like I'm in the driver's seat, unlike the Latias, which is what should be the case. seeing as I can just repeatedly smack it with ice beams, and it doesn't have leftovers because Soul Dew, of course, is the item of choice. Therefore, the Latias is really in a bad position right now. I'm gonna switch to my Ferrothorn, especially in rain. I'm not threatened by this Latias too much, meaning I can scare it out, safely get up my Stealth Rock as he brings in Ho-Oh. I have a good switch into Ho-Oh in rain. I have my Gliscor. He cannot burn me with Sacred Fire due to my Toxicor being activated, as well as doing pitiful damage, as you'll see in a second. I decided to go for Taunt to prevent him from roosting and substituting even more. And Brave Bird will give himself Recoil. However, I'm realizing this is not getting me anywhere, because I can't Toxic it, because it has a substitute up. My moveset is Taunt, Earthquake, Substitute, and Toxic, meaning I cannot break the substitute at all. Therefore, I decided to go for a more offensive approach, trying to take care of this Ho-Oh, being my Omastar. Omastar being a Water Rock type, of course, has very good resistances to Ho-Oh's Dual Stab. And unfortunately, I missed the Hydro Pump. That was very key. I would have just been able to take out the substitute with the Hydro Pump to proceed then to destroy Ho-Oh with a modest Life Orb, Rain Boosted Hydro Pump, being able to outspeed due to my Swift Swim ability. However, I missed the first. Thankfully, I hit the second, so I do take out the substitute from this Ho-Oh, meaning I can safely bring in Zekrom. I could have switched in Zekrom on the third Brave Bird, I should say. However, just in case he predicted that by going for Substitute or maybe a Sacred Fire trying to get a burn, I decided not to risk it. I feel like Zekrom is more valuable towards for my team in this matchup than my Omastar is. Therefore, I'm gonna just bring it in as soon as Omastar dies, go for Draco Meteor on his obvious switch. Fortress comes in, is easily 2-hit KO'd by Draco Meteor, and mixed Zekrom, ladies and gentlemen. Look at it. RC is thinking, well, he's at -4. I can probably either scare him out with Earthquake or just go for a recover, do whatever. Nope. Bolt Strike brings him into range of poison damage, meaning the Arceus is taken out. Seeing as the rain is up and this Zekrom is posing a huge threat towards his team, I'm fairly sure he's gonna go for Dragon Pulse or Draco Meteor. Therefore, I'm gonna switch into my Ferrothorn on this Reshiram. As he brings in Ho-Oh on my Ferrothorn, I knew this would happen, so I'm gonna pull a double switch back to my Zekrom, which pretty much means something is gonna die. This Pokemon, when you're running a mixed Life Orb set, it's really powerful, really hard to counter, if counterable at all, to be honest. It's pretty much unstoppable, really. You have to switch in something's gonna die. I got a crit on the Draco Meteor on Groudon. As you can see, damage calc on your screen, that did not matter. However, Reshiram comes in, and in Sun, that's kind of a different story. I decided to go to my Kyogre. Even if he goes and predicts my Ferrothorn switch with Flamethrower, that would be fine. But if he just Dracos, fine as well. Kyogre is expendable, not that necessary at this point, seeing as I have already won the Weather War by switching it in and letting it die towards this Reshiram. However, he went for Flamethrower, predicting my Ferrothorn, so that was great. Kyogre then goes for Ice Beam, predicting the Latias switch. Latias out of the way, however, that does give him once again a free switch into his Reshiram, being able to take me out with Draco Meteor. I'm still not sure whether it's Scarfed or Specs, however, Palkia should be fine either way. I can live a -2 Scarfed Reshiram's Draco Meteor, and I outspeed a Specs variant. I can lock myself into Thunder, being able to take out the Reshiram as well as the incoming Ho-Oh, and that's gonna be the battle. So I hope you all enjoyed. You can check out my channel, link in the description if you enjoyed this video. That's all out of me. Hope you all enjoyed. Goodbye.